I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook baby.
Yay. I mean, boo. Yeah, this is
Precisely. So we're doing HorrorFest. I love HorrorFest.
yeah. Hell yeah.
This is our, I think like 2 years ago, we kind of did it informally during October. Right? Last year, we actually did 4 separate episodes of subgenres.
Yeah.
Slasher, psychological horror, zombies, and exorcisms, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. Last year's was more structured. And so I like that. I like the idea of kind of like to specific subgenres.
Me too. And so this episode, we're going to do monsters, which I would say is definitely not a subgenre so much as a genre. Like, I don't know, however you want to.
Or creature features.
Sure. And even still, like, we didn't really talk out what we mean by monsters because it's a very, it's extremely broad term. Like, lots of things are monsters, lots of people are monsters. The movie Monster, which I love. I mean, Charlize Theron plays Eileen Warren. What's her name? Not I almost said Warnock. Warnos. Eileen Warnos.
Yeah.
The serial killer. But like, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking here. So let's set up the parameters right now. I'm not considering like for you, would Jason Voorhees be a monster?
Not really for me.
Yeah,
I went more towards like creature, either like supernatural or sci-fi or other dimensional, like something that's not human.
I did too for the most part. So like definitely not like Leatherface, right? Like,
right.
Like he's just he's a human. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking more like you said, creature features another term. I have some kind of like human-like things that are on here, and we can debate that.
Yeah.
The most obvious monster examples would be like, I don't know, the Blob or the thing. Was it the thing from the Black Lagoon or
creature from the Black Lagoon?
The creature from the Black Lagoon. So that sort of stuff. And we're gonna discuss kind of monster movies in general and our favorites and some least favorites.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to say before we?
Yeah. So this is just perfect timing. So I just got a job offer. Which I accepted for.
Nice.
I am going. So it's Game Rant. They're part of.
I thought you were going to be a fluffer for gay porn.
No, sorry, but I'm still applying.
Okay.
So,
side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. But so this is for Game Rant. It's mostly a video game website, but for whatever reason they have. They also do like movies and stuff too. So
are they connected to Screen Rant or no?
Yeah, they are. So they're owned by they're owned by the same organization. So they do. So they have, there's also like Collider, comic book movie. They have like a whole bunch. They have like 30 different websites that you've probably heard of. But anyway, so I just got a job offer, and the reason I'm bringing this up today, because it's the first day of HorrorFest, the position is for a horror news and features staff writer.
Fuck yeah, dude! So, congratulations, everyone.
Thank you. It's not full time. It's mostly part time ish. So that's a cool little thing to.
That is great news. Do you get to go see movies for free?
Not with this role, I don't think. But I will bring that up with them. That I live in LA because there are a few other websites. I think they kind of discourage you writing for multiple websites, under the same umbrella. But I know that some of them said that we're looking for applicants, ideally who live in LA or New York for either like screenings or interviews. So I'll just mention it, and once I start writing, like, hey guys, just letting you know, I live in LA. So if you guys have
we get some people on here you can interview.
Yeah, totally. So
all
right, man. So you want to kick things off with a favorite?
Sure. So I had been thinking about this. I also don't know. I meant to ask, did you want to have a separate? So I think this is going to be a big overlap episode because I think there will be a lot of selections here that could also go into other more narrowly tailored subgenres. But like, I noticed that a lot of creatures have a connection to like outer space alien type stuff.
Yeah.
Did you want to count them, or would those like be alien movies?
Oh, good question. Well, the reason why is so on my list, looking at them, most not all of them, don't really have anything to do with sci-fi stuff, and I kind of purposefully avoided that because like some of them are really obvious. Where it's like, yes, everybody loves Alien, everybody loves Predator.
Yeah. So like Predator would not count as a monster.
I guess it would in the general sense, and if we were doing an episode on like sci-fi horror,
yeah, I guess we could try and save it for that.
Yeah,
because I did notice that a lot, especially I feel like a lot of early horror movies had a connection to outer space.
Yeah,
like during the space age, and a lot of 50s, 60s movies.
Right.
All right, so I'll get into it. So I'm gonna pick for a favorite, and this is probably not a very original pick, but I do want to explain. So I'm gonna go with Pennywise. I was very much like, I was definitely a scared kid. Like a lot of stuff scared me, but I actually had never seen it. Like I never saw. Till this day I haven't seen the Tim Curry one. I should probably watch it. So I didn't read it as a kid. So it's not like, and I don't have a fear of clowns at all.
Right.
Like I know a lot of people do. I don't particularly like them, but I don't have a fear of them. But when I saw it, 17, 18, like around that time, I don't know what it was. That movie stuck with me like that. And it wasn't what I remember in my review. I think the final line was like, it wasn't the clown, it was everything else. And it was what it represents. It like when he's like more clown monster thing, it's obviously very scary. Its face kind of comes apart. It has big jowls with like several rows of jagged teeth. Right. And I just found it to be really, really scary. I know a lot of people don't even like that movie. I loved it. I didn't like the second one as much. It was really good. It was a really good movie, I thought, but not like the first one. I absolutely loved. I still can't explain why, but it like actually scared me. I watch a lot of horror movies. I watch horror nonstop during October every year. I've been doing it for like 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah. And of course we do HorrorFest. We do a horror in July. Like I'm watching it throughout the year too. And very few movies have scared me like it. And I don't know why. And I was like 28 years old.
Right.
And it was like, I caught myself, I'd like wake up at night and go to the bathroom and like have to close my eyes because I would think I'd be like afraid of Pennywise. Yeah. So I don't know what that was, because his whole shtick, if you don't know Pennywise, basically the whole shtick is that it represents your fears. Yeah. And it manifests generally as a clown, but it takes on the fears of other kids. So if you have a fear of snakes or spiders or other more kind of subliminal fears, like it takes those forms. As much as we can't stand Stephen King, I think that is a brilliant monster.
So I haven't seen the new ones. I've seen bits and pieces.
So you've only seen the old ones.
I've only seen the old one, and that one freaked me out a lot as a kid. And then I read the novel when I was way too young to read it. I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I was going to Catholic school at the same time too. But the novel is terrific. The ending sucks, but Stephen King's kind of known for writing shitty endings. And it's funny. He has a cameo in one of the newer ones, and he plays like a bookstore owner or something.
A few of them. I've seen him in some. He plays a priest in one.
Right. No, but in the new It movies, in one or both.
I think the second one. I think when they go back. Yeah,
he plays like an antique store clerk or something, or a bookstore guy or something. And then but like they actually reference that. So
they do.
Somebody buys a book and goes, it's a good book, but the ending sucks. And it's like, just because you acknowledge it doesn't lighten the fact. Like it's still
what
sucks.
happens is in the second one, there's a character playing like an author who writes who can't write endings. So it's very meta in that sense. I remember the second one I liked. I had a bad theater experience. I went to this one theater. It's the only time I've gone, and I don't plan to go back. And it's just like, it was just like a shitty theater where it wasn't even busy. It was just, there's like a group of teenagers in the theater that were just obnoxious and just kind of messed it up for me.
Right.
Where my local theater, I have a few local theaters, but they're like, in fact, my only complaint with them is that they're so loud that it does drain everything out.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's so loud. It's like, Jesus, you turn it down a little, but that is something I like. And it's like those comfortable chairs. They can recline and all that. So it's like more spaced out. But anyway, so that's my pick. Pretty standard classic. Again, not because it's a clown, but because he's just freaky.
I do love Tim Curry's performance. That one freaked me out a lot as a kid.
Well, Tim Curry's a man. He's such a good actor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he definitely loses himself in this. It's one of those movies.
Yeah.
Like some of my favorite actors are the ones where you forget that you're watching that actor. Because I mean, like there are a lot of good actors, but you're like, yeah, but it's still a Tom Hanks movie. Like it's and you know, I'm not bashing Tom Hanks, and some of his performances are amazing, but there are other times where it's just like he's just playing a famous guy. Like, yeah, it's a Tom Hanks movie. Guy, he's But when Tim Curry's as Pennywise, you don't go, oh, that's Tim Curry as a clown. It's like, no, that's a supernatural clown. I don't know how they cast him. Sort of. And I read the book, and so the novel is terrific as well. Again, except the ending, but it delves, I think, even deeper into like childhood fears.
Sure.
And how your imagination. Book. Yeah. It's like it's over 1,000 pages long, I think.
Yeah.
And
dude, I don't like. It was on my list, and I said a couple years ago, like, I just can't support Stephen King anymore. He's so obnoxious.
I know.
Oh my God, he sucks. Like, I won't even care if, like today I saw like Springsteen endorsed Kamala Harris. No fucking shit. Like, of course he is, right? Yeah. But he's not out there doing the tweets, all that. It's like Stephen King has turned into the boomer he looks like a boomer lesbian grandmother who watches MSNBC all day and tweets about it. Like Springsteen, he did that commercial where it's like, let's meet in the middle. That was the 2020 election, but he's always been a liberal. And I have I know lots of Republicans, lots of conservative people. I love his music. Just of course you're going to, endorse Kamala. No shit. But that's like almost the default for famous people to me.
Right.
When they do actually come out in support of a Republican or conservative, I'm like shocked. But Stephen King takes it to a new level, and I can't stand it.
I know. But if he wises up and you add him back to your list, but I will say, like, with the way he explores childhood fears, it's just so good, because I mean, like, the first part takes place in the 1950s, and there's a group of kids during the summer in between school years, and they all become friends, and but like just them, it's just like so evocative of like, the childhoods that I had, where it's like, we didn't have helicopter parents quite as much, and even less so obviously in the 50s, but it's like, you just during the summer day, you can, like your parents knew all the friends on the block, so you guys can just go to the park or go to the creek and come back at sundown or whatever, and just like your imagination. Sometimes you would walk into like a creepy abandoned place, and your imagination runs wild. So he captures that magic so damn well in the book. Pennywise is a good monster.
All right. Oh yeah, that's my pick, so go ahead.
Cool. So for me, I picked the monster from a movie from 2017 called The Ritual. I might have talked about it in some other things. Yeah, it's a really good one. It was on Netflix for a while. So this one is a group of friends. They they have this annual like hiking trip in Sweden. I think it's a British movie, so it's a group of British friends, and they're going they're planning the hiking trip in Sweden. One of them gets killed during a holdup at a liquor store, and one of the friends was there, and he just kind of pussed out. He didn't really do anything to like stop the guy, and he was just kind of like frozen in fear. And so now like a year later, they're getting ready to discuss like their annual trip. But one of the friends has resentment towards them. So right off the bat, at the beginning of the movie, like there's tension in this group of like, this is our first time doing this without so-and-so.
I saw this I was watching, some YouTube clips about top monsters.
Yeah.
Make sure I wasn't missing anyone. And this was on it. Cause it's iconic. Pick.
Yeah. It's a pretty solid one. So anyways, so they go on this trip. So right off, I love a horror movie that still has some decent drama, that still has some good character stuff in it.
It has a name, right? Modego or something.
The monster?
Yeah, I thought it was a name like the Modego or something like that. Let me see. Go ahead, keep talking.
Well, so the monster is a killer design. It's this huge, almost like a moose-like thing, but like supernaturally huge. Yeah. And then and like the face is like this weird sort of like vaginal void thing. Exactly. So it's like you got like these big lips on the side, and then you got like
it's like I'm scared, but I'm also very confused.
Exactly. I've got the weirdest boner right now.
It's very confusing to me.
But it's like, it's got like this big sort of
motor.
thing.
That's what it's called. MODER. The motor.
And it's like the bastard offspring of like Loki and a moose or something. Like, so it's got some like weird supernatural origins, and it just haunts like the Swedish forest or something.
Oh
the
yeah,
Nordic forest.
Yeah, it's like Norse. Yeah, it's like old Norse stuff. Fucking rules.
Yeah.
The
ritual. I want to pull it up real quick to see. Just want to see just to refresh my memory.
Yeah, it's like the 10th century. I love runes. Runes fucking rule.
But it's like this big moose-like creature, and it's got like the big face, the big sort of vaginal void, but it's all like black. But then you have just two eyes staring out of it, and it's got two like human arms sticking out of the side.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild looking, and I like there is some CGI, but I love the use of it because first off, you rarely ever see it fully, and the few times that you do see the full form of it, it's usually at night and from a distance. And they don't over animate it. Like it moves. You can tell the animators were definitely influenced. Like they actually referenced real animal movement. So it looks pretty realistic.
Yeah.
They use shadows really well. So it's not like a big, creature movies are cool, but like, it's hard to make them scary for me because it's like so often it's just a guy in a rubber suit or it's just, a bunch of CGI, but this blends it really well. It actually feels more like the first Jurassic Park, how they blended CGI and practicals really well.
It's kind of wild how well Jurassic Park holds up.
I know it's frightening. It's frighteningly well handled and it holds up still really well. But this, and then like they use mostly practicals for the close-ups, but they match them pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
You just get brief glimpses of it, and you gradually get more glimpses of it later throughout the movie, so it builds tension really well. And it's not a super violent movie. There's some violence, but this isn't like a typical monster movie where it's just how many people are going to get decapitated or disemboweled. There's still a fair amount of character work in it, so it's you care about the characters and seeing them like this tension, and now they have to learn how to survive together, like put aside their differences and like survive in like a crazy Nordic forest being hunted down by this bastard creature. It's pretty cool. It's wicked. I check it out.
It sounds awful.
Yeah.
An awful experience for them. That is cool. Okay. I was just looking. So I'm not picking totally based off like the movie itself. So I'm trying to think, I am going to pick off this, and I do, by the way, I'm writing these down for both of us. You tell me if this might be kind of a cheating one. So I understand if you object to this. I'm going to go with The Thing, because what is the monster in The Thing?
If I'm not mistaken, I think they said it was molecular, or it was like almost like a bacteria type thing.
So you see tons of monster-like creatures, but they all come out of a person or a dog or something like that. Like you never see The Thing in its full form.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm gonna pick it because one, I love the movie, and I think it's another like Pennywise, like a very smart and cool type of horror movie. I think in the book you do see it, if I remember correctly, and it is like an alien thing because like again, this is an alien type thing. So again, there's that too. But anyway, I fucking love this movie. We talk about it all the time. This is the practical effect horrors Wet Dream. It is one of the coolest. I don't know, it might be the coolest horror movie out there. The original, of course, we're talking about for 1988.
82.
So
the movie's actually a remake.
That's true. Yes, you're right. It did come out. It is like a black and white in like the 50s, right? Or 60s.
Yeah, it's called The Thing from Another World, I think.
Right. So there's been two remakes. The most iconic one is it Carpenter? Who did
John
the first
Carpenter
one?
directed it. Yeah,
it is Carpenter, right? But most famously, Bottin. I always forget how to pronounce his
name.
Rob
Bottin. Yeah.
Rob Bottin. He did the practical effects, which are just like the most incredible. I think he almost like die doing this from exhaustion.
He had to be hospitalized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was working on it.
That's an artist, man.
And this is also during a time when I think studios had more respect for effects artists because he worked on that movie for like a year, I think, and that seems really rare these days. For because I mean, like, especially in the world of CGI, like I don't hate CGI, I hate rushed CGI, and it's more often than not the fault of the studio, because like there are so many talented. I mean, like, you know, the Dune movies has spectacular CGI, but you have Denis Villeneuve, who's like, you know, he's telling the studio, hey, I need an extra 6 months to pull this off. Don't rush us.
It's not so any of these movies that have bad CGI. It's not the skill of the what do you call them?
Artists,
animators, artists, like it's not them. It's clearly based on timing and executives and producers rushing them. Like they know what the hell they're doing. They don't want to make a bad product. Bad CGI gets torn to shreds.
Yes.
So like it's not their skill. These are huge productions and studios. It's the everything gets delayed and they have to work on it last. And you know, so I never blame them.
The business of it. So like you have multiple effects houses who are competing for a big project, but they have to keep lowering their prices and agreeing to shorter and shorter amounts of time. So it's like one studio says, yeah, we can do this in 9 months. And then another studio's like, shit, we need this gig. Yeah, we can do it in 7 months. And this is like when another studio, no, we'll do it in 5 months. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll pick you. And it's like, shit, now so it's like, you know, so they have to compete for that. So it's kind of related. So have you seen Godzilla -1?
I have not actually. It's on my list.
I've heard nothing but amazing things. So it won the Oscar.
Really good. Yeah,
I've heard amazing things about it, but it won the Oscar for visual effects. Do you know how much that movie cost? $15 million. That's like a small budget in Hollywood.
It's a tiny budget.
Yeah, and it's like that would be like the VFX budget for a Marvel movie. Much, you know, but it's just like, but that movie won the Oscar for visual effects. The director used to be a visual effects supervisor, so he knew how to plan the shots perfectly. So it was like he knew how to plan.
Is it a Japanese movie or an American movie?
Japanese.
It's Japanese.
Yeah. So actually, the director of the movie actually won the Oscar for visual effects because he was also doubled as the supervisor. But he knew how to plan out and schedule everything perfectly. So he got the best use of CGI. It's not for a lack of talent, I'm sure that, you know, but anyway, we're digressing. I bring up the visual effects thing just because, like, when it blew my mind when Rob Bottin had like a year to work on the effects of the thing, and it fucking shows. And it shows.
That movie holds up as good as any movie can hold up. It is so good. It looks amazing. It's scary. It's a thinker. I actually remember not liking the ending when I saw it, but probably in retrospect, it is a very good ending.
Yes.
And I just like can't recommend that movie enough. And I know it's kind of a cheat to pick The Thing because what are you selecting? But all of it, and it's my podcast, so I can pick whatever I want.
Yeah. That movie, every time I watch it, I appreciate the directing more and more. It's such a tightly made film. Like the editing is phenomenal. There's not a wasted scene in that movie. There's no bad performance.
Yeah.
The tension and the suspense is incredible. It holds up really well.
Yeah. It's significantly better. I'm sorry. Like it's significantly better than the Halloween movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's known for that.
I think it's John, you know, and John Carpenter's made some great movies and he's made some bad movies and he's made some okay movies. I think The Thing is his best directed film. I think this is him firing on all cylinders.
But when you say John Carpenter, I bet you the average, not the average person, a lot of people don't know movies like that, but the average movie, you know, cinephile, whatever, would say Halloween.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's synonymous with Halloween. I think The Thing is such a better movie. I don't even think Halloween's that good of a movie. Like I like it, but I don't know. I think it's very overrated.
The power of that movie has been diluted by countless. So I mean, like, what? Because it was a pretty original thing when it first came out, but it's like you've had a million copies, and you watch, and you're like, I've seen a million movies just like this. It's, but I will say,
but you can't fault Halloween for that. They made The Thing. Like a lot of times, I watch so many movies where it's like you start learning where the tropes come from, where the stereotypes come from. But it's like it's not their fault. They started it. It's the other. I'm talking about like. I don't know. I haven't seen any of the other Halloweens, actually. I've only seen the original.
They're all pretty garbage.
So I've heard. Yeah. I'm in no rush to see them. And so I'm not tainted by them with Halloween. Like I think Halloween's a very good movie, but The Thing is exceptional. And out of the big three, if you want to call them, and if you add Leatherface 4, I think actually Texas Chainsaw is my favorite out of the big four. Of course, I'm talking Jason, Friday the 13th, and then Freddy. I actually think Nightmare on Elm Street's the best of those three, not counting Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's my favorite out of the four, but the big three definitely Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. So yeah, The Thing. What a killer movie. It's such a killer movie. Okay. My turn. I'm gonna go with the 1988 remake of The Blob. And I know I've brought it up before, but it's such a crowd-pleasing movie. It's like, I wouldn't say that the actors are amazing or that they're super sympathetic, but they're played very earnestly. And this movie does what a lot of great disaster movies do, which is like they before the disaster, they introduce multiple characters, and then you kind of follow them and how they all kind of react to the thing. And so for this one, like there are a lot of stock characters, but at the same time, they're all very fun. So it's like you have like the high school jock, and the pretty cheerleader, and then like the sort of high school like dropout rebel biker dude, heavy metal dude. You got like, you know, some uptight police officers and the preachy priest.
It's Kevin Dillon. Okay.
Yeah, Kevin Dillon's in it. Yeah, he's cool. He plays like the heavy metal.
He's heavy metal guy. Yeah,
the heavy metal biker dude. Yeah, he's pretty good in that movie.
I haven't seen this.
So in the original 1950s, The Blob, it was an alien, I think, that lands in the small town and it takes over. Whereas in this one, because, you know, kind of took place during the tail end of the Cold War, it was a U.S. Like military science experiment. It was like a satellite that they sent into space, and then like it came back, and it was like some germ that kind of mutated and it just got bigger. And so they thought like the military was like, oh, this is great, like we can use this against, like this puts us, you know, a decade, you know, ahead of the Russians. They actually say that in the movie. And so like they had to quarantine the town, and then they bring scientists. So there's like a cool kind of conspiracy theory element to it as well. But it's this like quaint little town, and everybody knows each other, and everybody comes out for the high school football game and everything. And there's like a little main street. But it's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, but there's also like plenty of like cool like action and suspenseful scenes and stuff. And the effects are pretty killer. So they use a lot of cool animatronics, a lot of really cool gore, like gooey gore stuff. It's got a pretty high body count, so it's just like a really fun like Friday night pizza and beer type of movie. There's just like there's nothing boring about it. There's a lot of cool special effects. And this came out right before CGI was starting to get big, so this is kind of like the best, like some of the best, like, you know, practical and monster effects.
I say it all the time, dude. I know what you're saying. Like, there's this period that you're getting into when you start hitting like the mid 90s to the kind of mid 2000s, where it's like we have this new cool thing called CGI. We're gonna use the fuck out of it, and it sucks, and it doesn't hold up. It looks so bad. And it's such a shame because there's some good movies I think that just get like The Craft. I always bring up, which is you remember that? Like it's a fun movie. It's very like style, very 90s. I think it's 1995. Yeah. And like there's this one part where like her fingers turn into snakes, and it's like so bad that it like takes you out of the movie. Especially seeing like 90s TV CGI. Where it's like, look, we got a computer and we can use it. It's like, you shouldn't. Exactly. But so this one, the Blob from 1988, it's got some fun performances, got a lot of great destruction and mayhem, and they kill a kid in this one too. It's funny. Yeah, it's actually like I know exactly. It's not even super over the top or anything, but it's like, oh, another cool thing about the Blob is that when it touches you, it's like acidic, so it also kind of melts you too. So there's some really cool effects where, like, there's one cool sequence, one of my favorite sequences in the film, where this waitress, and she's like this very sweet lady, and she's trapped in like a phone booth, you know, where we're surrounded by glass, and the whole Blob is around her, so it's like this pink gooey thing, and she was supposed to go out with a police officer for a date, and so she's trying to call the thing, and then she turns around and she sees the police officer. And he's like half melted, and as he's like going up the thing, it's like, oh, that's so cool. Like it's very cool. And then it just crunches in on her, and then so her body just kind of explodes.
So yeah, it's just a lot of cool, fun, gooey effects. Yeah, it's a killer Friday night, creature feature. So that's my
Yeah, that
pick.
sounds sweet.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen The Stuff?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I
Okay.
forgot about that one.
It just came up when I was looking up The Blob. I've never seen it, never heard of it.
Yeah.
But the movie poster's pretty wild.
Is that the one with the guy going,
Yeah, yeah, it's like blue, like stuff coming out of his mouth and eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's satirical science fiction horror. It sounds like it's obviously, so it's a satire on American lifestyle and consumer society, of course, because it takes place in the 80s, or it's from the 80s, mid 80s. Anyway, I thought that looked creepy.
It's not a great movie, and
Right.
it does have some cool practical effects, but they're you can definitely tell it's just kind of lower budget. But the plot of it is really zany. It's like somebody digs up this white goo under the earth.
Yeah, it said like these workers in Georgia, and there's just like this creamy goo, and people start eating it.
They discover it tastes good, and then scientists go, "Oh, it's super healthy." So they start it's like a yogurt type thing, and everyone starts eating it, but then it starts mutating people. It's just I don't know. But then again, like when the first time I watched it, I thought it was like really campy and goofy, but I do kind of want to return to it, and maybe like the satire is a little more maybe a little smarter than I picked up on, because I watched him when I was like in my early 20s or something, so maybe worth revisiting.
All right.
Yeah, so The Blob.
All right, so here's what I'm gonna go with, merely because I think he's just an icon of the genre, and I think he punches way above his weight from his movie. I've talked about him before, and that's Pinhead. Do you consider him to be a monster? Should I not? Like he kind of is it. He's from another dimension.
Yeah.
I'm gonna count him.
Yeah, sure.
As a monster. He's not like, I mean, I guess you could argue Jason. I don't know. He's not like Leatherface, where he's just like a fucked up dude.
Yeah.
He's from another dimension.
Yep.
Pinhead is iconic.
Yeah.
Cenobites are iconic.
Oh, yeah.
The movie's not that good. It's okay. I looked up what I gave it in my list. I gave it a 67, I think 68 around.
The first Hellraiser.
Yeah, the first Hellraiser. So it's okay. But I just always thought he was an iconic character. Their whole shtick, like the intersection of pleasure and pain, and just like that kind of sadomasochistic pursuit. I think this movie and this monster, who's like Pinhead, is the face of the Hellraiser series, and like Hellraiser's not even that, really has like nothing to. What's funny about Hell? It's such a good name, but like this movie has nothing to do with hell. I mean, it's another dimension. It's not really hell. It's like a sadomasochistic place, and he's really not in it very much. He kind of has not the Boba Fett shtick where he gets killed off, but he's like really not in it very much. But he's on the cover. The movie's called what was it, like not the Telltale Heart, but something like that.
The Hellbound Heart.
The Hellbound Heart. Yes, that's it. The Hellbound Heart. Anyway, I just always thought he was cool. His voice is sweet in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just a fan.
Yeah. So I met the actor. I think his name is Doug Ramsey, I think. Yeah, it was. I was like 17. I went to a Fangoria convention, and he's like a very sweet, proper, like English.
He's a British guy, right?
Yeah. Like you would if you were to like Doug Bradley, that's who it was.
Yeah.
If you were to like see him, you would in person, and you didn't know who he was, you would not think twice about him. Just a nice, kind, old Englishman. But yeah, so he's got so many fucking killer lines in that movie too. Like, it was like, we've got such sights to show you. Your pain will be legendary even in hell. But if you trick us,
they do call it hell.
They do call it hell, but it's kind of, it's not really like the biblical hell. It's more just, or maybe it is. I don't. It's kind of weird. But like, your pain will be your suffering will be legendary even in hell. But if you trick us, we'll tear your soul. We'll tear your soul apart. He's just got so many lines. It's so fucking cool. And also just like all these like weird like sadomasochistic elements. Like when the Cenobites, my favorite scene in that movie is when the Cenobites first appear in the hospital to Kirsty, and then one of them approaches her, and then like he sticks his like hand in her mouth, like just to like shut her up. But it's like, what a weird, like oddly sexual thing to like do to like keep someone from screaming. Just like
Wait, he's in. Oh, never mind. I'm looking at him. I'm like, he's in Heavy Metal 2000. Like, no, it's something
voice.
else.
Yeah, and then the second one's decent. It's not as good as the first one. I read the novel. It's pretty good. It's
I'd consider the novel. It sounds pretty good. I remember
it's short too. It's it's a novella. It's like 120 pages.
Oh, really?
It's super easy read. So, and it's almost exactly the same as the movie. It's a little more graphic. There are a few more scenes in the book that don't show up in the movie, but it's worth checking out. Clive Barker's got he's got a wicked imagination. So
you know, I have some really good practical effects in that. Not just the Cenobites; they look sweet.
Yeah,
but the like the guy who's kind of reanimating, and when he's doing that, he's all like kind of goopy and stuff like that.
Coming out of the floor, and yeah.
Is in that movie? I forget if it's the movie or the book. Like I know it's in the book, but I forget if it's in the movie where it's like the mix of it's like blood and cum, and that's how he comes back.
Something like
no
that.
Pun intended. I know that's definitely in the book.
Yeah.
I forget if they do that for the movie where it's like he comes back, because remember in the movie, like the sucker, you know, he's the guy. Isn't it like they moved to a house in Connecticut or something, or upstate New York?
Still in England, I think.
No, the movie I thought is American.
No, it's
British. Really?
Yeah.
It takes place in England.
I know they shot it in England. Like when you look at the neighborhood, you're like, that's not an American neighborhood. But
really?
It's never really said. It's never really. But yeah, they are moving to a new home. Yeah,
moved to a new home, and he like cuts his hand. It's pretty graphic actually in the movie, like on a nail, and it bleeds and like hits it. It like goes into the wood, and then like later, I think in the book when she's cheating, or something on like that, like the cum gets in the blood, and then I don't know. I can't remember.
That part isn't in the movie, but I think it is.
Okay. Ben, that part actually doesn't exist. You just made all of that up.
There is one cool scene in the book that's definitely not in the movie. It's near the beginning. So the guy Frank, the original guy who opens the box.
The box.
You opened it. We came. So they only show bits and pieces of it in the movie where he's got the candles around him, and he first opens it, and then he just gets ripped apart with the hooks and everything. But in the book, that scene is extended. So he opens it, and then like he just has like this crazy psychedelic experience, and he wakes up in a room, and there's a female Cenobite, and I don't know if it's the same one in that you see in the movie, but she's naked, she's got pale skin. He's freaking out, but he's also like got a heart on, and then she's sitting on a bed, like she's on a pile of human tongues, like bloody human tongues.
This is in the book or the movie?
It's in the book. It's not in the movie. It's like, I wish that would have been in the movie.
That would have been sweet.
Yeah. And then she says, well, shall we begin? And then it cuts away from there. And so it's just like, oh man, that's wild. But yeah, there are a few more scenes like that in the book that you do not get in the movie.
Wait a minute. So hold on. I'm reading this right here. 1987 horror film Hellraiser is set in England, though the film's location is ambiguous. The movie was filmed in London at 187 Dollis Hill Lane in Dollis Hill, a suburb in northwest London. The film's setting is ambiguous because of the American accents dubbed over the actors' voices. The predominantly British cast and crew and the Edwardian architecture of the Cotton House reveal that the film takes place in England. So, wait, the voices are dubbed?
Most of them are. At least, because I know Kirsty, she's an American actress, so they probably didn't dub her. But even then, like the chick, the guy who plays her dad,
they hate that shit.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but it's funny when you watch it. It's like, yeah, they're American, I guess, but then also like that's not American architecture like that. So it's just it feels just kind of weird. And maybe I thought
it was just like very upscale, like New England suburb, like New York. I assumed it took place in like. I don't know, like Pelham, New York, like Westchester County, or not Schenectady, but what's it? Scarborough, like a really, really nice suburb of New York City or something like that, or even Greenwich, Connecticut, where there are Victorian and Edwardian homes. But Anyway, all right. Well, that was my pick. Hellraiser, Pinhead specifically, fucking rules.
Yeah. So for my pick, so when I was a kid, I remember being like in third or fourth grade and being obsessed with the Universal horror monsters, like it's the Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Wolfman.
Sure.
So in 1987, a movie came out that brings all those monsters together. And it's funny because it's not like actually a Universal movie, but somehow I don't know through rights or whatever they managed to pull it off. So the movie called Monster Squad. Have you ever seen it or heard of it?
Yes, I've seen Monster Squad.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, then that's my pick.
But who are you picking?
The whole
cast. That's like the whole monster. Monster Squad, isn't it? Like it's a Frankenstein, right? It's
Frankenstein, Dracula, Mummy.
So you just get the whole Monster Squad. It's in the name. It's the Monster Squad.
Yeah. Why not? I'm doing the team. Hey, they're all in one movie, so I
guess feels like cheating. It's fine. I don't think I was going to pick any of them. Anyway, I did have werewolves on just in my regular list. I don't think I was going to pick werewolf. Gillman, Mummy. Yeah. Wolfman. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, Monster Squad, sweet.
Yeah, that's a cool one. It's like E.T. but with Universal monsters.
I guess. I really feel like you're cheating with taking the whole Monster Squad. It's like 6 monsters.
So?
Who's Desperate Man? I don't know what that is. Who's your favorite then out of them?
I'll go with the Dracula in this movie is really good. Because he picks up a little like 8-year-old girl and he calls her a bitch. So that's that's kind of cool.
Kind of the leader, or is he the bad?
Yeah, he's the main leader. Well, the Frankenstein in this one, he's kind of like misunderstood, so he kind of joins the kids, I think, for a while.
Right.
But I do have a soft spot for like I like werewolves. I like the concept of werewolves, but I've rarely seen an American Werewolf in London Rules. I love that one.
Yeah, I had that on my list.
But most werewolf movies aren't that good because they're all kind of the same. It's like a guy gets bitten, turns into a wolf, and then he kills people. So it's like I don't know.
I'm giving you're going to take Dracula from Monster Squad.
Well, I was going to say I think I'll go with the Wolfman though.
Oh, okay.
For a couple of reasons. One,
all right, go with Wolfman.
The makeup looks great, and so the makeup effects were done by Stan Winston, who's done amazing work. He's won numerous Oscars for his creature and animatronic work. But he also based it, I think, on himself. He actually like created like he based like the Wolfman effects on his own face a little bit. So
dude, Monster Squad feels like it's kind of like I feel like Monster Squad was not mainstream. Like it was kind of in the know type movie. You know what I mean? Like, Monster Squad wasn't very popular. At least I didn't think it was.
And it's funny because the movie flopped, but it had a decent sized budget. It had a $14 million budget, which is pretty big for 1980s. Yeah. And it had some. It didn't have like famous actors in the cast, but
right. I don't recognize any of these actors.
Yeah.
Where like the Goonies has tons of a bunch of recognizable actors.
Yeah. And it's produced by Spielberg and it was directed by Dick Donner.
True.
But this one, it still had a pretty big budget, and it was released by TriStar Pictures, so it was by a pretty big studio. So it should have been a hit, especially because like that type of movie was big in the 80s. So like of like a group of kids who embark on the sort of supernatural adventure or otherworldly adventure. So it's like the Goonies and E.T. So this had like you would think that this it was a formula that was very popular at the time in the 80s.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it just didn't catch on. But I love it.
It's like one of my favorites. Like the group of kids on. I think that's why I liked it so much because it is a throwback to that.
Yeah. And I love movies that take place in like quaint little towns.
Definitely.
Where like everyone kind of knows each other and stuff like that. So it's very much that type.
The director has only directed actually 3 movies.
I know he directed RoboCop 3.
Right, exactly. RoboCop 3, Night of the Creeps, and Monster Squad. I do have a movie he wrote on my list. It's his first movie called House.
I've seen that one.
That's on my watch list.
It's a weird one. It's a zany one.
Yeah, he does a lot of. He has House 2, RoboCop 3, The Predator. So it's a lot of like sequels.
Yeah.
He has some uncredited works, Lethal Weapon 4.
But Shane Black, who co-wrote this film, he's done a lot of famous stuff.
Oh yeah, that's on. Was Shane Black?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So very good then.
Yeah.
My next pick, I don't know if you don't want to count it, it's fine. But I cannot talk about this movie because this movie very much scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Hmm.
I think it came out around the time where like you're old enough to watch horror movies, but you're still young. And that's going to be, so I found her name, which is Samara Morgan, and that's the Ring Girl.
Yeah.
And that's the American one, of course. I've seen the Japanese one. I did take Japanese film in college because I went to a small liberal arts school, and that's what you do.
Yep.
It's not as scary. It's much more. I think, like heady and psychological. The Ring, and also maybe it's just like the budget or whatever. The Ring scared the crap out of me as a kid. In fact, one of the, I think, scariest moments of my life when it came to something like this. Oh, sorry, it's my cat. I was like, what the fuck is that noise? I was sleeping and my arm fell asleep. And my other hand touched my hand, but I couldn't feel it because it was asleep. And I freaked out. Like it stuck with me. It was one of the scariest. And it was the night after I saw The Ring.
I've had that experience before. It sucks. It's creepy because you can't really feel it. So it's like you feel something that's fleshy and hairy. And you're like, that should be my arm, but I don't feel it. So it's like,
very
grabbing. It's weird, man.
It's very, very unpleasant. I screamed. My mom checked on me. I tried to explain it, and I was like, "It's fine. I'm an idiot." But so Samara Morgan. The faces in this movie always stuck with me. You know, after they get, I don't even know what you call it, killed, but like they get like the kind of their soul sucked out of them. I guess she's monster-ish. Like she's not just a girl. She's super creepy. She's got the hair and she's all model or what's it called, moldered and gross. I don't know if it's kind of cheating to consider her a monster. We don't have to put her on here, but that movie definitely had a huge impact on my childhood in terms of scares.
I'll cut this sequence because she's not a monster. Anyway, no. So my friend actually pointed out the first scene of the movie is actually a really well-made short film. Like it, the two girls and they relate the urban legend, and then there's a false scare, and then nothing happens, and then it leads to the climax. So it's actually like it's a complete little story right there and then. So
it's a very good opening.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll pick something else then because I do have another one that definitely counts.
Yeah.
And this is going to be, I think, one of the. It wasn't the scariest. He's definitely scary, but I always thought it was really well done. And his name is the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yeah,
he's the guy who puts like the eyeballs in his hands and puts them up to his. I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
super like creepy. He eats children. That's his whole thing.
Yep.
It's like a classic folklore, scary, creepy creature from Benicio del Toro, who makes lots of great creepy creatures.
Del Toro, he's got a killer imagination when it comes to monsters. Like all of his movies. So even like the Hellboy movies, like the creature design is fantastic in all those movies.
Yeah, he's sweet. He's played by this actor. It's weird because I definitely thought he was going to be, and I'm going to talk about him later. This Spanish actor. It's a Spanish movie. Del Toro's Mexican. The movie Pan's Labyrinth takes place in Spain. There's this actor called Butte, who's I believe he's Spanish, and he plays a lot of monsters, and he's been in some Del Toro movies, I believe.
It's Doug something, isn't it? It's like Doug.
This one's Doug something. You're right, Doug Bradley, or was that the other guy we just talked about?
Doug Bradley's the other one.
He's an
Doug
American.
Doug Jones.
Yeah.
So real quick, somebody who kind of sort of works with the organization I work for is second cousins with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so she's married to this amazing actor who's performed in a lot of our performances, who actually looks a little bit like him. Like he's tall, slender, kind of lanky. And we usually cast him as like vampire type characters. Like, he's really good at like just moving his body in weird ways. So Doug Jones is actually like is an idol of his. So for his birthday, I wasn't there. This was before I started working there, but they had a surprise birthday party for him at the venue that I work at. And so they actually, my coworker actually got her cousin Doug Jones just to do like a happy birthday video, and so they actually like that was part of like a surprise birthday party for him.
Yeah, that's very cool. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in. Actually, I looked him up. He's actually like a conservative Christian guy, and he almost wasn't going to be in Hellboy because of that, because of like that sort of thing. And I thought, it's cool to see like this actor who plays like these horrific creatures be a Christian guy. But I always liked, again, he's another one of those characters that he's in, I think, one scene, probably the most memorable scene from the movie, but he's in and out, but he's the figure besides Pan. He also plays Pan. The fawn. But he's I think he doesn't speak Spanish, so he had to be dubbed or whatever. But just a great character. Look it up. You just watch that scene from Pan's Labyrinth to see what I'm talking about. Really wild design. Yeah, just a unique monster.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. It's a good pick. So you want to start getting into ones that we don't like?
Sure, yeah. We
either movies / creatures.
Yeah.
So there's a movie that came out recently, and it got amazing reviews, and I did not care much for it. And I thought the creature design was okay, but I didn't care for the movie. It's Barbarian. You ever see that one?
Oh, you don't like Barbarian?
I thought it was okay. It was
interesting. I liked it.
I thought the tonal shift was weird because the first part of the movie was very serious and suspenseful, and then the second half gets more kind of comedic. But then, and I don't know.
I guess I could see that. What scene I loved in Barbarian though was
the breastfeeding scene.
No. Ugh.
I love that scene. That was a cool scene.
Oh, it's horrific.
Yeah.
No, there's like a part where because it does that thing where you think it's going to be a trope and it breaks the trope.
Yeah.
Where they're somewhere, like they're running away from the monster. I forget her name, but they're running away from the monster. And you think they're safe, and they're like, no, they can't catch us. And like in the middle of the sentence, it just like bursts through the fucking wall or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny because it's like, oh, this is the part where they can like take a moment and regroup and plan and fight back. It's like, nope, boom, like smashes through the wall.
Rips the guy's arm off. Yeah.
I liked Barbarian, but okay, that's fine.
I did like the breastfeeding scene. That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then I think also like it was trying to be very relevant with the whole like Me Too thing. Because like the director of the movie, he gets accused, and it's like
that's right. Yeah, Jason Long, is that?
Jason Long. Yeah, Justin Long. Yeah. And when it got to, I was like, oh come on, I don't want to be reminded of this shit. It's a monster movie. I don't want a Hollywood director.
Because this was like 2021, I think.
22. Yeah. So just like I don't need to hear about this. There was a part that I did really enjoy that did creep me out. I wish it dwelled more on that. So there's a flashback to decades earlier, and I guess the father of this thing, and he's going around the neighborhood and he's kidnapping women, and like I guess like is it implied that he rapes them and then he like gives them over to, he feeds them to the wretched creature thing that he's got in his base. To me, that was far more interesting. I could see a movie about that. Where it's like, what is this guy doing? Why is he kidnapping women? And why? And what is the thing that he's feeding them to? Like that to me was much creepier. But it was just confined to one flashback, and so I don't know. I mean, like the movie is definitely interesting, and it's definitely kind of it had a bit of an indie feel because it was not like a total. It wasn't too stereotypical, but then there were also, to me, it just didn't go far enough. It was like you had like there's some interesting ideas here. You just didn't go farther with them, I think. So
all right. So that monster. So did you not like the movie, or you didn't like that monster?
I didn't like the movie that much. The monster's kind of cool. I thought the creature design was pretty cool. Yeah. And I thought they did an amazing effect with their weird mongoloid boobies.
Yeah.
So
you really liked that, didn't you?
Because it's such a great, like that was a really cool.
I don't like the movie. I've only seen it 16 times.
just that one scene.
Yeah.
That was a fun gross out scene. So
All right, dude. You know what I wanted to talk to you about, though? Just kind of going off topic, but I just stumbled upon this when I was watching vids about horror movies. Have you seen The Mist?
No, I have not. The Stephen King one, right?
Yeah, I guess it is a Stephen King
Yeah.
book, but the movie The Mist and the insane ending.
I've seen that ending.
Okay,
and
so
I
you
heard
know the ending.
Yeah, I know Stephen King likes it. He actually prefers it to the original.
Right.
The one that he wrote, yeah.
I'm going to talk about this ending. If you have not seen this movie's
been around for like 15 years or 20 years or whatever.
It's true. Yeah, it's from 2007.
Yeah.
I actually get this movie confused all the time with The Happening. I always confuse these two movies.
Yeah.
I don't remember that much of the plot to this movie, but the ending is absolutely insane. And I rewatched it. So basically, the world, whatever, wherever these people live, is terrorized by, like, there's a mist and there's monsters, and you can't really see them in the mist. And like, don't people kind of get picked off?
Yeah.
And you haven't seen it, you said, but
it's like Lovecraftian, like tentacled monsters emerging out of the mist. So you only see like tentacles and stuff, right? You rarely see the full thing. Yeah.
In the end, not important for what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
So basically, this group of 5 people, it's a family of 3. So father, husband, wife, and son, and these 2 old people, I'm assuming they're a couple, are in the car. They're trying to escape. I think they run out of gas or whatever, and they just resolve to die, right? They're like, we can't escape. And the husband mercy kills all 4 of them with a gun, but he only has 4 bullets, so he can't take himself out at the end. So you see it in the sense of like it shoots from outside the car. The camera goes outside the car. You hear the gunshots. You see the blood, right? Like, and then he gets out of the car and he starts like yelling at the monsters. Take me. I'm ready to, like, yada yada yada. And then the fucking army shows up and saves the day and starts killing the monsters. And there's like refugees and there's tanks, and he just starts freaking out because he killed his family. And then it ends.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie. It is one of the most insane endings ever.
Yeah.
This guy murders his family.
Yeah.
Doesn't get killed. Army shows up.
Oh man.
Unbelievable.
What a brutal ending that was, man.
I just wanted to talk about that because I had seen it, totally forgot. I probably watched it back, between 2007, 2009, 10. Like, so it's probably been 15 years at least since I've seen this movie. So I just saw, I just like watched something reference the end of the movie. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go look up this ending, and I watched it, and I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Great ending.
Yeah. Cool monster design too. Very, very Lovecraftian.
It is very Lovecraft. Yeah, they're kind of like, they almost look like giant mammoth like tentacle things. Yeah, I don't remember the movie at all. Like I said, I always get confused with The Happening.
No,
but
The Happening. Ugh, what a garbage movie that was.
Yeah, I just remember. Isn't that the one where, like, I remember in the what's funny is what I've noticed is, because I watch so little just like cable TV anymore, so I don't see a lot of commercials.
Yeah.
What I see are, the only time I see advertisements are like when it's on Hulu or YouTube. Like when I watch sports, there are commercials, but so I don't see as many as like I have to go out of my way to watch movie trailers now. Mostly it'll be a post. So there's this like segment of time where I remember tons of movie commercials because they were always on when I was watching regular TV in like the 2000s, basically late 90s, 2000s. Happening was one of those. I remember, isn't there a time where a guy just like lies down in front of a lawnmower? Right, that's the movie, right?
Yeah.
People start killing themselves.
Yeah.
And the ending is like the plants, something like that.
It happens again. It happens again because it just stops. It stops happening, and then it happens again.
Right. Gotcha. Anyway, yeah, that movie sucked. Was that a Shyamalan?
Yeah, Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Right. Exactly.
So this is actually from a movie I have not seen, but the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's infamous for having a horrible monster design, but it did lead to something much better later on, and I will explain. So it was a 1974 film called Dark Star, and the plot is actually, well, so the plot is basically it takes place in the future. It's a sci-fi horror film. It takes place in the future, and it's a group of sort of space truckers, and then an alien gets on there and kills them.
Okay.
So this is 1974. So before another movie with a very similarly styled plot with a much better alien. So for this one, the alien is just it's a beach ball, just a big beach ball that's been painted with like spots, but you can still see like so you know how beach balls have like sort of seams around them.
Yeah.
You still see the seams, and then it's got like some clawed
Yeah.
feet at the bottom. It's a really goofy looking thing. So the reason I bring that up because John Carpenter actually made this. I think it was like a USC when he was still in college. I think it was like
Right.
or whatever. But it's a very low budget, and it was also a comedy. So I think you can kind of excuse the fact that it's got cheesy special effects. But the movie was written by Dan O'Bannon, who would go on to write Alien, and he did that intentionally because he's like, no, I want to do a serious take on space truckers getting hunted by an alien, and I want it to be an alien that evolves and changes throughout the film. And it's with amazing special effects. I don't want a beach ball. So, but just real quick, just type in Dark Star creature and you'll see exactly what I mean. It's so
Dark
bad.
Star.
I heard it's funny. I heard it's like kind of wacky, zany. You know, it's just a bunch of college kids.
This is.
It's bad even for 1970.
Oh my god, you could really see like it's so bad.
It would have been better with like a guy in a suit. Like that would have been scary.
Yeah, that's really bad. All right, I want to pick a couple more before we go.
Yep.
I want to go. So getting back to Butte, he's a Spanish actor. He's 6'7", and he has Marfan syndrome. So he plays a lot of characters who can walk like real creepy. He can do crazy shit with his joints. He famously plays a guy called the Crooked Man. That's not my pick because I actually haven't seen that, but it's one of the Conjuring monster things. It's really famous for that. But I love him in. I know I've talked about this movie so many times on this podcast, but he plays a monster in the movie Rec, R-E-C, the Spanish movie. Oh, so this is a zombie movie. So I'm not picking the zombies. That's not a monster thing. We've done zombies. He is so at the end of Rec and Rec 2, so what I love about Rec, it's like a mix of exorcism, zombie, and monster, and he plays the monster at the end, which is so creepy. It's like this. It's supposed to be a girl, but it's tall and lanky and disgusting, and it's like a great monster. It's again not in it for very long. I do sometimes get confused between Rec and Rec 2. Like and it's in Quarantine, which is the American version. It's not nearly as good a movie. Definitely watch Rec. It is so good. I rewatched it, I think, last year for when we did zombies as a subgenre for HorrorFest. It holds up so well. It's all shot through, a guy holding a camera. It's like a cameraman kind of this like nightly BS TV show. It's like a girl, she's hanging out with firefighters, and what's your daily life and what do you do here? And all of a sudden they get a call, and she's already there. She's like, can I go with you? And they're like, sure. And it turns out to be this crazy zombie outbreak in this apartment building. Amazing movie. And he plays the creature at the end, which is a great freaky monster. I'll get the name for her. I think she just goes by the name of the girl who's possessed. I am kind of giving stuff away here, but it doesn't matter. It's so good.
Yeah, you brought this up, and you brought up the ending, and then I was like so excited about that. I think I even Googled or went to YouTube, and I was like, Rec ending monster, and I couldn't find it. So I guess I just had to
really.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised you couldn't find it. It's very good. It's from 2008, I think. I'm trying to find. What the hell is? Sorry. Crap. All right. Yeah, I can't really think of any ones I don't like that much right now. Wait, did he play Rec? I'm almost positive he did. Yeah, Javier Botet as Tristiana Medeiros, who's a patient zero Portuguese girl. Let's smash my foot. I dropped my pen. Yeah, so that's gonna be my pick. Do you have another one you want to do?
Yeah, very briefly. There was a movie that came out in 1988 called The Unnameable, which is loosely based on a Lovecraft short story. This was turned into a pretty generic 80s monster on the loose type of movie. So it's just
Mhm.
like dumb college kids going into a creepy old house, and then they have sex, and then they wander off, and then they get killed one by one. It's the movie is just okay, and it's kind of just stereotypical movie. But the creature, I'm sure the movie had a pretty low budget, but you can tell most of that budget went to the creature effects, and it's
Yeah.
really fucking cool. It's a person, but they're both like scaly and hairy at the same time, and it's
Yeah.
horn. It's got like a demonic look.
What's this movie called?
It's called The Unnameable from 1988. You can go Google it real quick and just type in like The Unnameable Monster 1988.
Yeah.
And the creature design is pretty wicked.
Oh, it's a Lovecraft story.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But if you type in The Unnameable Monster 1988, it's got just check it out real quick. It's a really killer design. It's demonic, scaly, hairy.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, it's good. Damn. Very
Yeah, it's
cool.
pretty elaborate effect.
It's creepy.
Makeup effect. Yeah. So when it shows up, like that's like the highlight of the film. Shows up in a few scenes. But
Does that have a name?
was that?
Does it have a name?
No, I don't think so.
Name. All the Winthrop or the creature. Okay, I'll put that.
But yeah, so I think that's probably my final pick.
I want to pick one more.
Yep.
Needs no introduction. One of my favorites of all time. You even brought him up before, and that's Godzilla.
Oh yeah,
I don't need to. I love him. He was the one when the first time I visited, we did the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's the only star I took a picture of. Godzilla does have a star.
Yeah.
He's the best. Obviously, it's taken many forms over the years. Well, I haven't seen Godzilla -1 is on my list. I did see Godzilla versus Kong. I've obviously seen the original, a couple of the campy ones in between. It's just I think we could probably do a whole sub-genre episode on kaiju.
Yeah.
It's very cool. But he's just the best, and I've always loved him. I had a big Godzilla toy as a kid.
I love Godzilla as a kid too, and I rented a lot of those cheesy movies. And it's funny because he went from like being, like terrorizing Tokyo to also being kind of like its protector. And there are times where it's like he went on like little kid adventures. He's got a kid, and they go.
Yeah.
I liked all of those though. But my dad it's funny. My dad, like he's I think I said before, he's basically Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. He's like a grumpy, old school, macho, strong, silent type. But he's got a handful of things where it's just like he turns into a little kid, and it's Godzilla. Like, don't ever make fun of Godzilla in front of him. So we went to go see. I think Gareth Edwards did this one, the 2014 one. Like the reboot now.
Yeah.
So that one was kind of infamous. It was a pretty decent movie, but it was infamous because for the first half of the movie you just see bits and pieces of Godzilla, so he doesn't fully emerge until the second half. So I went to go see that with my parents and my sister, and my sister was sitting next to my dad. And so for the first half of the movie, when Godzilla barely shows up on screen, anytime there's a scene where like somebody knocks on the door, my dad would turn to my sister and say, "Is that Godzilla?" And anytime when there's a phone ringing, my dad would be like, "Is that Godzilla?" So it's just like he's like super into like, "Oh, when they bring out Godzilla, I can't wait for Godzilla to come out." I do have, maybe I'll share this with you privately. My dad, he works super early in the morning. He starts at 5 and then he gets home like around 3. And so whenever he comes home, he naps. And so a few years ago, my sister wanted to fuck with my dad, so she recorded this conversation that she had with him, and he's half asleep in the afternoon. And she's like, "Hey, Dad, Mothra's better than Godzilla." And he goes, "Angela, shut up." He just turns like a teenage kid. And then he's like, "I don't know, because like Godzilla's always wrecking stuff, whereas Mothra is like Earth's protector." And he goes, "Angela, you don't even know. Shut up." And she goes, "Wait, isn't Godzilla a girl?" He goes, "Why would you say that, Angela?" And she's like, "Because didn't Godzilla have kids?" He goes, he didn't from a previous marriage, Angela. So it's like Godzilla's, don't make fun of Godzilla. Godzilla's not a girl. So I still have those recordings of my dad, Mr. Macho.
We should play him on the podcast.
I'm sure he would appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
Godzilla's
yeah,
the best. How can you
Godzilla's
not
cool.
love him? And you can't
Yeah.
talk monster movies without him. He defined an entire subgenre of monster movies.
Yeah, hell yeah, he did. And yeah, so I think that's it for the first installment of
Monster.
horror.
We'll get Jim on. Yeah, HorrorFest. I don't know what we're gonna do next. We'll talk.
Yeah. But
And
stay tuned.
we'll
And
be
if there are
back.
any movies you want us to check out, send them our way. Send us some recs.
And any topics you want us to talk about, we're
Yeah.
happy to do it.
Yep. So
All
stay spooky, everyone,
Stay spooky.
and fight the frights, the night fright terrors. Fight them.
Yep.
Yeah.
There
All right,
it
cool.
is.